Hi, in this screencast we'll be using desmos to graph piecewise functions. So the first step is to go to www.desmos.com, and that is a free online graphing calculator, and it has a lot of options. You can read about some of those options with slider tools, and we're going to use that a little bit later in another video, another screencast. It'll do tables and some other calculations, but we're going to use desmos today to graph the piecewise function f of x, where f of x is defined separately for values of x less than or equal to 1. It's defined to be 4 minus x squared, and for values of x greater than 1, or on this part of the domain, its function is defined to be 1/2 x minus 2. So let's launch the calculator. And in order to graph a piecewise function, really all we have to do is restrict the domain. So we're just going to key in the 4 minus x squared up here. We don't have to, we could put y equals if we wanted, but we're going to go 4 minus x squared. And we use the exponent key. You can also do that from these tools down here, and with the square key, for example, but you can use above the number 6 key on your keyboard as a caret, up caret for the exponent, and then hit right arrow, and that takes me down to where we're ready to put in our restricted domain for 4 minus x squared. So you can see off to the right on the bottom here is we have the graph of the parabola 4 minus x squared. It's downward turning, and its vertex occurs where x is 0, which is mainly 0, 4. And so there's the vertex of the parabola. But we only want the portion of the graph that's for values of x less than or equal to 1. So we're going to put in curly brackets, and those curly brackets are on your keyboard, and then we're going to hit x. We're going to type in the less than equals, and when we put less than equals, type those two together, it makes the less than or equal to symbol, and 1. And what you'll see is that this has restricted the graph of 4 minus x squared for values of x less than or equal to 1. So for values of x, as I move for values of x here on along here, for values of x less than or equal to 1, we have 4 minus x squared graphed ahead. Okay, and now we're going to go and graph a second piece as a separate function. Now this is different than the TI-84, where we put it all on, we basically graph one equation, but here we're going to graph the second portion, 1/2 x minus 2. So we'll do 1 divided by 2, right arrow, x minus 2. And then what you'll see is, if I don't restrict this graph, it's graphing the line 1/2 x minus 2 with a y-intercept of -2, and a slope up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2 again, and it does that indefinitely, and it graphs the entire line. But then this does not pass the vertical line test. This is not a function the way it's defined. So we'll go up here and we'll put in the curly braces, and we'll specify for values of x strictly greater than 1. And there we have it. We have our graph of the piecewise function, the parabola, the downward parabola, 4 minus x squared for values of x less than or equal to positive 1. And then we have for values of x greater than 1, and you'll see at 1 it's an open circle. When I actually click at that point right there, see the open circle there? It doesn't show unless I click on it, but it shows you that the open circle in this graph is supposed to be on the blue line, and that this is a closed dot on this line. And you can see that the software shows us those two for this piecewise function. Well, that concludes this video on how to graph at least this 2-piece piecewise function. If you had a 3-piece function, you could add that 3-piece down below. And so stay tuned for another video that will show how to graph transformations with desmos. Thank you.